Welcome in, I'm Artris, and in this video we're going to be revisiting an old classic from OP13 in PLuffy. Now usually when we hit a new meta, I like to go and cover the newest decks, the newest leaders. We haven't covered them all quite yet, but I do think PLuffy is worth mentioning before we go any further with any of the new leaders because of the fact that PLuffy has a very interesting spot in the meta where he specifically can beat decks like Ace and can also beat decks like Emu. I wouldn't say super consistently, but puts a run for their money at least for whenever they're competing against each other. And the main reason for that is because of the 5-cost Magellan from way back when, I think it was like OP13 or something like that. But basically PLuffy's in a pretty good spot. I want to highlight it right now. But before we go over the deck list, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that sub button. We're so close to 10,000. If we could get there by the end of the year, that'd be great. Thank you all for the support. I really appreciate it so much. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please make sure to join the Discord community. The link for that is in the description below. So as a quick reminder, PLuffy, a 5-life leader from OP05 that says activate main once per turn. You may take the top card from your life cards to your hand. If the amount of Dawn on your field is 0 or 3 or more, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck as active. So this has a built-in ramp and kind of draw system at the same time. So you're able to get to your curve efficiently with this leader. Now, before we do go over the deck list, I want to mention that this is not necessarily the optimal deck list. I would say that there's probably better deck lists out there if you're wanting to compete. I think that this deck list, more specifically for me, is fun because of the fact that there's 12 rush units, 8 of those being able to rest at least a 5-cost or lower character. There's a lot of blockers in the game right now, specifically Marco and also Emu that has a few blockers that need to be rested. We have some tools that can at least take care of that. We'll go over some of the changes you can make to the deck list at the end of the video, but let's go ahead and get started on what we have here now. So starting off, we have a playset of Nami from PRBO2. It's a 2-cost searcher. Just looks at the top 5 cards of your deck, and you can grab a Straw Hat Crew type card other than Nami and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This also has a trigger. You can just play this card outright from life, so pretty nice to have a searchable way to grab some of the things you might need. We're running a playset of Usohachi, just a standard 2K counter for Pluffy or any purple deck at this point. I think that this is probably the best 2K counter for purple. I've probably said it a million times by now, but it is just definitely being able to rest a unit that's 5-cost or less for only 3 is pretty powerful. It bypasses a lot of blockers out there, so Usohachi is very important in this meta. Running a playset of Bond Clay. The reason why is because this version of the deck is not necessarily trying to go wide as previous versions of the deck. This one is trying to go tall fast, and so you need to be able to get to your 7, 8, 9 Dawn turns really quickly. So being able to use your leader ability plus then also play a Bond Clay will make sure that you get there pretty quick. In case you don't see the Bond Clay on 4, we do have a backup way to ramp with Miss Double Finger, being able to on-play trash a card from your hand and then add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. It's kind of like a Bond Clay. It's a little, I would argue, worse than Bond Clay because if a Bond Clay hits the field against like an Ace, they're really worried and they're going to try to get rid of it. Miss Double Finger, not nearly as much, but it is a nice option to be able to ramp. You are running a lot of bricks in this deck, and so pitching a brick to ramp is a fair trade. Next, I'm running 2 Onami blockers, and on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn on your field, trash 1 card from your hand and then draw 2 cards. Very great for the late game to be able to cycle your hand for maybe something that you're looking for a more defensive unit, or maybe you need another play another turn down the road, and so the Onami is definitely going to be able to help you get there. Only running 2 of them. We don't have a lot of blockers in this deck. We only have 6 total, so you are a little bit of a glass cannon because of the fact that your opponent can just like crack back and swing at your face pretty hard, but we do have Onami to at least keep us alive towards the later stages of the game. Then we have 4 Zorojuro, just a really solid 4 Dawn turn play. Sometimes you don't have Bond Clay, sometimes you don't have Miss Double Finger, so putting a searcher that also can attack is pretty nice as well. Of course, this is an on-play. Look at the top 5 cards. Grab 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type card and put it into your hand. So this grabs quite a lot of cards that will add to the aggression, or if you do need more of a defensive option, you have defensive options you can grab like Gum Gum Giant or any of the 2Ks. Running a playset of 5-cost Magellan from OP02. I said OP03 in the intro. It's actually OP02, so even older than that. This card is a menace. It was a menace back then, but it's starting to be relevant again because in a meta where dice rolls matter, usually that means that you're trying to play to a curve. And so Magellan can throw your opponent off your curve because you naturally have built-in ramp to your leader ability. Magellan minusing 1 doesn't really hurt you that badly. The on-play, if you're unfamiliar, says Dawn -1. Your opponent returns 1 of their Dawn cards on their field to their Dawn deck. And then on the opponent's turn, when this character is KO'd, your opponent returns 2 of their Dawn cards on the field to their Dawn deck. So this really de-incentivizes opponents from attacking into this character. Of course, you can bounce it, you can bottom deck it, you can do different things to get it off the field and bypass the Dawn reduction that you have to do on the KO, but a lot of decks don't have that option, so it's just going to be a sticky body, one that throws people off their curve. Also important to note, it's really relevant against decks like Roger, where they have to be at 10 Dawn to be a 7k leader. If they are at 10 Dawn, you play this down and they have to subtract a Dawn, then they become a 5k leader again. So there are a couple of other decks out there besides just Emu and Ace that are playing on curve that matter. So the most important thing here with Magellan, though, is being able to throw the Emu opponent off of their curve, because they have to be able to be at 10 Dawn in order for them to use their stage and cheat out the 10 cost. But if they're not at 10 Dawn, they can't do that. So you can actually slow them down a turn by doing that. So Magellan's really powerful for that fact. And then against Ace, of course, you can use this as a way to keep them off of their 10 cost, or I guess rather their 8 cost event into 10 cost Newgate, which will slow them down one turn as well. So that's all you need in this game, is just one extra turn to get a couple of swings in and then really start to take off from there. Running a playset of the 2k Sanji blocker. Sometimes you can play this out for cheap because maybe you'll be at a lower Dawn total than your opponent. Usually you won't, though. Sometimes this will become a nice blocker that's harder for the opponent to remove because it is 6 cost. Most of the time, though, it'll just be a 2k. Next up, I'm running a playset of the 7 cost Rush Sanji. Being able to rest a 6 cost or lower character on the opponent's side of the field is relevant a lot of the times. Most of the times that will be a blocker and you're just trying to bypass it and hit face, but sometimes this can be a character you might want to swing into. So this is a really important character for that matter. We also have another Rush unit, which is new from OP13, which is the Silver's Rayleigh 8 cost to 9,000 power character, has Rush, and then on play, if you have any given Dawn cards, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, then at the end of the turn, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck as active. So on your 9 Dawn turn, you can put one underneath your leader or another character, play this down, rest a character, and then you can also ramp up at the end of the turn with that Dawn you ramped up being an active Dawn, which is important for things like Gum Gum Giant. So Silver's Rayleigh is pretty important. It's also, once it hits the field, really hard for the opponent to remove. 8 cost, 9,000 power. It's going to be a really pesky swing every turn that your opponent has to respect or block out of, so very annoying here. But more annoying than the Silver's Rayleigh is the 9 cost Rush Luffy. 9 cost, 10,000 power from OP09. On play, return 1 or more Dawn cards from play to your Dawn deck, and then draw 1 card, and then this character gains Rush. This is probably overkill with this character. I think that you probably don't have to have 4 of them, but I do notice that when this does hit the field, games are really easy from that point on. So I'm trying to see this as often as possible. Of course, when you're running 4 of them, you're going to have bricks, and be able to pitch this out would be very nice for counter if you could. So we have a solution with that, and that's the 0 cost event, the Gum Gum Jet Gatling. Just being able to pitch dead cards out of your hand so that you can get a plus 3,000 is very useful. And of course, the trigger is able to add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active, so you can ramp if this is in your life. The other thing here is it is searchable off of the Nami and the Zorojuro, so if you do need some extra counter or a way to get dead cards out of hand, this is a great card to grab. Then, of course, we have Gum Gum Giant as a playset here in this deck. We wouldn't have it any less. This is a great survivability tool for you. The whole thing with this leader is you're kind of playing a race where you're playing really sizable bodies and just going face as much as possible, and then maybe taking care of some bodies here and there. Obviously, going face is not always what you're supposed to be doing, but the way that I play this version, I kind of go face more often than not, and so your opponent's going to start racing at some point, and Gum Gum Giant allows you to stay alive, because as you can see, we're not playing a whole lot of blockers, 6 in total, as I mentioned. So if your opponent does try to go for lethal, having a giant or 2 in your hand will pretty much guarantee that you can stay alive out of those attacks. And then finally, I'm running 2 Hell's Judgment. This is mostly here for the green Zoro matchup. It's a solid defensive counter as well outside of that, but I think you're going to want to try to find this in your Zoro matchup to be able to minus 3,000 for an entire turn to a leader and a character as well. So very powerful effect overall. So yeah, this is the version of Purple Luffy I've been running lately. I think it's pretty solid. It does well into Emu. I think it has its uphill battle against, like I said, Green Zoro. Ace is kind of like a 50-50 sometimes. Obviously, if they see really well and draw a lot of cards, you can't do much about that because you have no way of punishing their hand. But you do eventually get enough swings on the board that maybe you can poke them down over time, especially if the 9-cost Luffy in that matchup is pretty solid. We'll go over some of the changes you can make at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But in the meantime, let's take this list into the sim and see how it does. All right, gonna go against Emu here. Looks like they chose to go second. That's fine for us. We want to go first here because we can use our leader ability, plus then also be able to play Bond Clay and ramp up again. So it's really powerful for us. We just need to find like a 7 or 8 Dawn play right after that, and then I think we'll be in a really good standing. If we can get the 9-cost Luffy down and have a good rush unit as well the following turn, it's going to put a lot of pressure on them. I think that they're not going to be wanting to have a 10k swing come down every turn. So some lists are running Stussy, so maybe they'll have a Stussy, but I think even then, we'll have the 9-cost Luffy down well in advance that the 9-cost Stussy will be a little bit late to the party. So let's go ahead and use our leader ability. We'll go ahead and play out the Bond Clay and then ramp and then swing 6. We just ramped up twice this turn. Really powerful. Of course, we'll be going to 7, and if we can get a 7-cost Rush Sanji, and then even like an 8-cost Rayleigh, I think that's going to be pretty good here. They play out the Sharia and able to find the 1-cost event. They do have Stussy, so they're going to pitch that out for the Sharia ability. Grabbing a War Curie, which is the blocker that draws. Pitching out... They have a lot of cards in trash. Pitching out the Jupiter, it looks like, and they're going to swing 7 here. I think I just take this one, unfortunately. We do have an 8-cost Rayleigh, which is nice. Let's go ahead and use... We'll swing 5 first, and then we'll use our leader ability. Just kind of want to see what they do here. I want to be able to play out this Bond Clay, or rather use the Bond Clay to swing, because it's probably just going to get popped this next turn. But they don't have anything on the field I can imitate, so it is what it is. It's probably just going to go down with, I forget what it's called, Mars is the 6-cost blocker. But here, yeah, 9 to 5. They're not going to want to take this. They're probably just going to have to take the 9 to 5, and then they're going to have to worry about this unit every turn after. So really annoying here. And what's nice is that we do have this Magellan, so that when they're on 8 Dawn, the next turn, what we'll be able to do is play out the Magellan and make them go to 9 the following turn, which is important here. Yep. Mars, as to be expected, they play this out, pitch a card, and then get rid of the Bond Clay. It is what it is. We'll have to take that one. Then they'll use the Sharia, or rather, they'll use their leader effect to trash the Sharia. And then here, they might swing another 7, and then leave one open for a counter event. 6 is good for us as well. We'll go ahead and counter out of that. Now, with Purple Luffy, you want to counter out as much as possible and stay healthy so you can use your leader ability in the early to mid stages. But I think we've already made it to late game for us. We're going to go ahead and just slam this 9-cost Luffy down. If we do take a life or 2 along the way and go to 0, it's going to be pretty dangerous, but we might be able to close out the game pretty soon. Anyway, we're doing 5 to 5. This one, probably just an easy 1K. The 9... coming from the Rayleigh is probably going to be countered out if I had to imagine. Probably like a never existed plus a 1K. And then I would hopefully see them block with a 9-cost. And then they're probably just going to block the 9-cost Luffy. I don't think they're going to block this one because they know they have a rush unit. So they're probably going to use the Mars for what they expect to be the second rush unit, of course. If I had a Sanji, I could really blow them out here, but I don't. It doesn't ever existed plus a 1K. Okay, good to see. And then we'll go ahead and play out this Luffy. And like I said, they're probably just going to block this one if I had to guess. Unless they have another never existed and then a 2K. But, oh, they just take it. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and then use our leader ability to take a life and ramp up so that this Hell's Judgment is online. Otherwise, I just have one open for no reason. I guess I could bluff that I'm going to use Giant. But I'd rather not bluff. I'd rather just actually have something that I could use here. Now, for the 10 cost, are they able to use everything here? I think they have everything in the trash already. Okay. They're going to go ahead and play out another Mars, but the Mars is just going to be here as a blocker. They're not using it for any effect because of the fact that I don't have any 5 costs or higher on the field. Here, are they just going to swing big? They might actually just swing really big with their leader. That's actually... really annoying if that's the case. I'm going to have to counter out of this one. I don't want to go to 0. Okay, 11 to 9. I think we just go ahead and use the Hell's Judgment here. And then it's perfect for us. -3 and 3. Preventing these attacks. What do we want to do here? Since we're going to go to 8, I think I'm just going to do what I mentioned before. I'm going to go ahead and play the Magellan so that they cannot play their 5 Elders. I would imagine they just block these 2 right here. The 9 and the 10 are easy blocks. They don't want to go down to 0 themselves. Let's go ahead and play the Magellan, -1. And then I think we play out the Zorojuro to see if we can find a 1-cost event. And they concede. They didn't even have the 10 Elder. They didn't even have the 5 Elders, but even if they did, they wouldn't have been able to play it the next turn. It would have been really awkward for them, and I think we just pulled away with the game at that point. All right, the opponent chooses to go second. Fine by me. I want to go first anyway. This is a solid hand because we have double 9 cost, and we have a way to ramp up pretty quickly into Sanji, so I think that's pretty solid here. So we're going to go ahead and just use leader ability plus Bond Clay. We've been pretty lucky to find Bond Clay in our opening hand and also go first. That's something to note in a meta where a lot of decks want to go second. You will likely get first very often, and so that's very good for us. We're going to go ahead and just ramp up real quick, go 6 and a 4. They're going to be taking that. They're going to be probably taking the next hit or 2 as well because of the fact that they are a 4K leader until they hit 3 life. Here they play out Bello Betty, grabbing a stage, playing out a koala. They have so many searchers. This is insane. Okay, so they grab this Sabo, which is the blocker Sabo. They play the stage out. They're probably just cycling their hand, getting as much as they possibly can. They are pitching out the Sabo they just grabbed, meaning they probably already have one in hand if that's the case, or feel comfortable enough. And then finally, okay, enough searches. You've had enough searches. Okay. They grab one more Sabo. They pretty much have the rest of their game plan set up here. I think that's fine. I mean, we're both doing our thing here. As you can see, they're probably doing a little bit better than us. Okay, so let's go ahead and just take this life. Ooh, that's actually pretty interesting, but I think I'm going to hold on to that for one more turn. We'll go 6 into 4. Then we'll play out the Sanji, and then we'll go 7 into 5. So both of these attacks are really good for us, just meaning that they have to give us 2 cards. They'll likely have to counter out of this one. Usually Red-Black Sabo does not want to go down to 2 life so early. They want to be able to be at 3 life, play out the 6-cost blocker Sabo, and then stabilize from there. And as I mentioned, here it comes. They're playing out the Sabo, and they'll probably go 7 into face, I would imagine. If you're playing against Purple Luffy, usually you're wanting to at least pressure face. I think that's the most important thing here. Now, with this next turn, we have a couple of interesting options. We'll just take this one. We do get a trigger off of the Nami. That will grab us an Usohachi or Sanji, and I think it's fine to just grab the Sanji because the Usohachi is kind of useless in this matchup because of the fact that their blockers are going to be higher cost than 5. This turn, I think what we could do is put 1 Dawn underneath our leader, swing 6, then swing 7 with the Sanji, swing 8 with the Bon Clay because we'll just copy the Sabo, and then we can go and play out the Silver's Rayleigh, and then get that Dawn ramped up as well. Since they are countering out pretty heavy here, I think I want to turn my attention into the blocker because I don't want to give them any more cards. They've countered out pretty heavily for the past couple turns here. That's really nice to see, and because they did that, I'm actually going to ramp up. Really risky here, but I think it's probably just a last-minute good pivot to go 10 into 8. They give us 2 more 2Ks. They have 2 cards in hand. Okay, so we got a lot of cards out of this player's hand. Really solid, but keep in mind we are a glass cannon here where they could turn it back into us and swing into face. We have a lot of counter, thankfully. Sometimes, as Purple Luffy, you just don't have the counter. Thankfully, we should be able to survive this turn if they decide to give attention to my life. But I would imagine, based off of the board, they are at least going to swing into the Bon Clay with one of the searchers. They might have, I was going to say Stussy, but they're on 8 right now, so actually they don't have a Stussy play. Their play is probably just going to go 7 lead. Yeah, okay, so the Dragon reviving, likely the other Sabo here, putting 1 Dawn underneath the Sabo leader, and then another one underneath Sabo leader, swinging 8 instead of 7. Pretty solid. I'll give them 2 2Ks for this because I don't want to go down to 0 for free. I don't want to have to defend out of a bunch of attacks next turn as well, which is really annoying if that's the case, if I'm at 0 at least. So here we'll just give them the 2 Sanjis. If they want to swing this blocker Sabo, I am going to be in trouble, but they decide to hold it back. That's fine. I think what we can do here is just swing 6 into lead, see if we can get a card out of hand. They do have a couple of blockers, so that is something to note that they might actually want to play this down. They go ahead and give us a counter. Let's go ahead and bait out another block if we can with a 7 into 8. I think what we end up doing is playing out the Silver. Yeah, the Silver's Rayleigh's probably fine to play out. It doesn't matter what we rest. Let's go 9 into 8, see if we can get one more card out of hand. And then we'll go 10 into 6, see if they want to block this one or just take it. They just take it. This is a turn where if they have Stussy, they could play Stussy out, and it would be pretty annoying for us to have to deal with. Because that means we lose probably our 9-cost Luffy if that's the case. Really good tempo play, but we'll see if that's what they have. Otherwise, I think we just... They do have it. That's pain. That's so painful. Okay, so they do get rid of the 9-cost Luffy. They're going to put a Dawn underneath their leader with the blocker Sabo. They might swing 7, 8, 9. Yikes. It's not looking so great right now, but I think we will do our best to survive this turn. Let's go ahead and just give them a giant. Pitching out the 9-cost Luffy because I don't think there's an opportunity to really play it. We'll go ahead and take this 9 from the Dragon. They leave 1 open here. Interestingly enough, we do have a way to survive at least this turn. It's not looking great, but we can at least do it. What we can do is we can swing 6 with our Luffy. 6 into 6 here. See if they give us a counter. They do. 7 into 6. Maybe they block. If they block, it becomes a little bit of an interesting dilemma. Do we swing into the blocker? I think we do. I think we try to get one more card out of hand. And then maybe push for lethal without a blocker if they let it go. So that's good for us. We'll go ahead and search out Giant. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. We're going to go ahead and play this blocker out. pitching in the Magellan and drawing into a 2K and a brick. We can use one of these bricks to at least pitch for the giant, so that's good to note here. And I think we will use the 9-cost Luffy as fodder for the giant so that we actually have a search with this 4-cost Zoro. We have a lot of counter as well, so I'm not entirely scared about dying, but looks like we're not going to die this turn either because of the fact that they are just playing a little bit more tanky here. They're playing out their dragons to bring out the blockers, which is fine. This is a great play on their part. But I have so much counter that it's going to be really hard for me to die. So let's go ahead and just give him a 1K, 2K. Let's see if we can... I think we'll just get out of the 9 with a giant. Pitching the Luffy, and then I guess the other Nami. Yeah, Sanji's fine. I don't think we're going to be using Sanji anytime soon. We'll go ahead and just block the 12 from the Stussy. Yeah, very interesting turn of events here. We're going to go 6 into lead. This is a very scary time to be a PLuffy player. 0 life, no blockers, no giant in hand, and a huge board here. Part of the problem being glass cannon, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and swing 6 into our lead, see if we can just get a block out of them, or maybe we just take this life. Pretty nice to see. Let's go ahead and swing 8. This is mathematically guaranteed to connect. And then we could bait them here. We could swing 9 with the Rayleigh and see if they give us their hand, or if they block, they block. Oh my gosh, let's just put the rest on the Nami because I think that's guaranteed 10 into 6. So yeah, we got a little bit lucky there. I think we had to go for it. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have survived one more turn. All right, we're going to go first against Goldie Roger. This hand is pretty solid. We have a Bond Clay. Once again, we're going first and we have a Bond Clay. As you can probably see in these videos, this is the key to winning with Purple Luffy. Go first, find Bond Clay. GG easy. So from here, we just need to find something on 7. We have a Zoro we can play on that turn, but it's not going to be the best use of our Dawn. They just play a Buggy outright, which doesn't really do anything. They have to have Dawn underneath. So maybe a little bit of a misplay right there from the opponent by just playing that out a little bit early, but we'll see how they recover. If they recover, this would be ideally... the 3 cost of character, I never remember, Douglas Bullet. I never remember this guy's name. So we'll go ahead and give him a counter here, 6 into 5. We want to stay healthy so we can use our leader ability without being punished too much. We didn't see anything, which is unfortunate. We'll go ahead and just do double Bond Clay into a Zoro to find probably this giant's great. We'll go 6 into lead. And then double Bond Clay is really nice here. We are looking pretty good because we have the 9-cost Luffy. If we can get this down next turn, this is going to be really annoying for Roger to have to deal with. Scopper Gaben, which is going to ramp them up and then also have a pretty nice body and also filter their hands, so it does a little bit of everything there. Really good to see from them. 6 into 5. I think we counter out of these and just stay at 3 health here. I think it's really good to pressure face. They're a 5k leader for one more turn, so let's go ahead and get these attacks in where it matters. Let's go ahead and swing 6 into lead. I'm just going to ignore the Douglas Bullet. Normally I want to go for their characters, but I think in the time being, we can actually copy the Scopper and just swing 7. 7s are really hard to counter out of. They just snap take. We're going to go ahead and play this Luffy out. I'm going to use the ability to give it rush, and then I'm going to put this Dawn underneath it and swing 11 to 5. Going to be really hard to counter out of. They just take it. We'll use our leader ability, and then we have a giant to survive. They kind of have to push for lethal here. I don't think it's going to be easy for them to establish blockers. Roger doesn't really have too many blockers in the deck, so nice to see that we've already put them down to 0 life at this point. They just hit 7k leader. I think we protect what we can. I think we protect this and see if we can draw into maybe a 2k. That'd be pretty nice. Okay, so there is a way for us to at least keep this thing alive. Newgate. We'll let the 10 into 6 go, and then here I'm just going to stack all on. Yeah, they didn't have enough. We pressured them so hard early that they were unable to stabilize even after hitting 10 Dawn. Actually, it was just one turn of 10 Dawn. All right, going to go against another Emu here. Let's go ahead and take first, and I kind of like this because we do have a Bond Clay into Sanji, so this is really good for us. As long as we find like one more unit after the Sanji, I think it's important to find a follow-up unit along the way. Oh, pitching a Stussy off the get-go. Okay, interesting to see. We do have a follow-up unit. Perfect. Already off to a really good start here. Being able to ramp up, going into our 7 Dawn turn next turn. So we do have the option of using our leader ability plus playing the Silver's Rayleigh. Or we could use our leader ability, swing 6 and then 7. And then after that, we could swing with the Rayleigh. So we have a couple of different options here. I personally think that the Sanji could be a good play here. It just depends on what they play down, I suppose, this turn. If they play an actual body down, which they do, they play Saturn. If they don't use I don't think they used their... Oh, they did. I think they used it off of the War Curie. I was going to say pitching a card, or I guess sacrificing the Saturn here would matter a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just give him a 1k. I can copy the Saturn is the reason that I'm talking about this. So I'm going to go ahead and be able to swing with my Bond Clay and also my leader. So that's nice. Let's go ahead and just rest this and swing into the Saturn. Just go ahead and get this off the field. I don't want this to be an attacker. Normally, I want to swing face, but I do think it's important, since we are a 5k leader, to go ahead and just get rid of that and get it off the field. We'll swing 6. Then we'll swing 7. And then after that, they take both, which is kind of surprising. They're down to 2 life already. It's not going to be looking very good if they want to play a blocker this turn. Of course, they go 5 into 1. We let that one go. The reason why we are okay with swinging and letting that go is because if they do have a Mars, then what's the point of protecting? Obviously, we're not going to protect a 1k unit, but that's the reason why we swung with it. So there's the Mars, of course, but it is what it is. It's fine. Maybe we should have held on to the Sanji for 1 turn so we could actually rest the Mars, but I think it's fine either way. We will just go ahead and be very aggressive here. We'll go ahead and put 1 underneath our leader, so we'll swing a 6 again, and then we'll swing 7 again. And then we can play the Rayleigh. The Rayleigh's not going to be able to rest anything, but what's important here is we will be able to ramp with the Rayleigh, because the Rayleigh has like a 2-part effect, and I think both of them need to go into effect in order for that to take hold. So like, for instance, the Rayleigh says that you have to have a Dawn given somewhere, and then you can rest something, and then you can stand a Dawn. If you don't have the Dawn on something to begin with, you don't get to rest, and you don't get to restand or to ramp one at the end of the turn. So we're just doing this for the ramp. So we can actually have Gum Gum Giant on 10 and not be punished and go down too far. They are going to counter out of this one. So +3 and then 2 1Ks. They don't have 2Ks here. Very, very telling. We're looking pretty good, although we don't have a follow-up play to these 2 big bodies here. So something to keep in mind. That's why I think the Gum Gum Giant's pretty important overall, because if we are able to filter our hand a little bit, then I think maybe we can dig a little bit deeper and find something. Looks like they're just going to go pretty big here. I don't think they're... I can't imagine they're going to go after a character, but they might. I also don't imagine they want to give me life either, but maybe maybe an 8 or 9 into the Sanji, they think that they're going to at least get it. I don't quite know. We'll see. We'll see. This War Curie, of course, we can rest it with the Usohachi. They are going to do this. Let's go ahead and just use the Giant, pitching out the Hell's Judgment, just so we can get a filter going. We do get a nice 2k and a 1k there. Good to see. I think what we do is if we don't see anything off the top with this draw, we can use the Nami effect. The Nami effect will then maybe be able to find like a Sanji, and we can still play the Sanji out. I guess we just grab an Usohachi. The 9 cost is a little bit late at this point. It would be nice to be able to play this out, but I'm not going to wait one more turn for that. Let's go ahead and swing 7 at lead. We're just resting this War Curie. We're going to go as aggressive as possible to their face. They're going to give us a 2k and a 1... Oh. This is not that. That's that event that puts a 2k back into hand, or it's a certain cost black character in hand, but it's always going to be a 2k that the opponent puts into their hand. They do get a trigger. They grab a Never Existed, pretty good card to grab right there. They're going to have to give us the Never Existed plus a 1k or 2k, depending on what they have in hand. They do give us that Never Existed and the 2k that they grabbed from that event. This turn, we didn't have a Magellan, unfortunately, but we'll see if we get punished by that. I mean, they are at 1 life and about to play the 5 Elders. They can stabilize pretty easily here. Let's go ahead and just take some of these hits and see if we can get any good cards out of this. We also need to make sure that we protect one of these rested units, because they're likely going to play the 5 Elders, and the 5 Elders is going to bring out Nustero, which will then probably swing into a body, I would imagine. Here's the 5 Elders doing their thing. Summoning everything out. Do they not have... They didn't... Do they not have the Nustero? Actually, I don't think they do. So we might actually be in a pretty good spot here. Wow. Okay, so we got... I think this is one of the ways that you can win against like Emu, is being able to pressure them hard enough where they don't see enough cards, they don't have enough time to cycle comfortably or search out. They have to play blockers instead of doing searches and things like that. So something to keep in mind there. Pretty interesting. Here, I would imagine they're probably just going to go after a body again. If they go after the Sanji, it's an easy Gum Gum Giant, which we will use, pitching out 2k along the way. And then here... we know one of these cards is the 5 Elders, so it's basically, we can swing 7s. So let's go ahead and rest the War Curie so they don't get the card draw off of it. Let's go ahead and swing 5 because we know that they have 1 dead card in hand, so they have to give us a card here or block. They do give us that 2K, so let's go ahead and just swing 5, because like I said, we know what that card is in hand. They have to take this or block, and then what we can end up doing is just swing 7 here. Yeah, and we had it at that point. They did have the Neustro at the very end, which is unfortunate. Is this Venus? Is that what they're supposed to be called? All right, gonna go against Ace here. They choose to go second. This hand, I want a mulligan, and I don't get a better hand. This is actually arguably a worse hand overall, because we can't play anything this next turn, so we kind of have to hope for something good off of life and also draw. Triple Magellan's not it. Miss Double Finger is, though, so we can at least use this Miss Double Finger to pitch out one of the Magellans and ramp up. Sure, we don't swing, but that also means that they don't get their leader ability to be able to draw an extra card if we were to swing. Here they play out the Marco on 4, and then we just counter out stay at 4 life. We can play this Sanji and probably attack face, I would imagine. So let's go ahead and just ramp up. Take a life. We get a 2K here. I think what we do is, yeah, just play out the Sanji. We'll rest the Marco, and then we'll swing 6 into lead, 7 into lead. I don't really care to attack into the Marco. I just want to keep it rested so that they don't get the extra card draw off of it. And this is going to be a really difficult turn for them because they don't have Dawn underneath their leader, so they don't get the leader ability either. If they were to at least take this life, they don't get the extra card draw. So they're more incentivized to actually counter out of this attack right here. And it looks like they're thinking about it. Yep, they pitch an Ezo to use leader ability to minus 2,000 to the Sanji. So good for us to be able to at least get that hand size down a little bit, but they're also 1 turn away from hitting the 9 cost. So pretty unfortunate. They do play out a Yamato instead of, I would assume, like a Rush Yamato or a Jozu. Swinging 8 into lead. I think we just take this one, unfortunately. It is what it is. I think we just have to take it. Let's go ahead and swing 7 into lead here, see if they give us another leader ability. Now, we have the option of doing a couple things here. They just block. Snap block. Good to see. Let's go ahead and just play out the Magellan. We could have played the 9-cost Luffy, but I think it's good to keep this ace from playing Newgate this next turn, because they're going to be at 7 Dawn this next turn instead of 8. So we're like slowing down their Newgate turn, their potential Newgate turn by 1 turn. So we'll put 2 Dawn underneath the Miss Double Finger, swing 6 here, and then we'll swing 7 with the with our leader. And then I think I'm actually just going to swing 6 and fake that I have a Gum Gum Giant here. So either way, like they haven't used leader ability quite yet, so it's kind of the same thing no matter what. They do counter out of all of that. They decide to Gum Gum Red Rock the Magellan. Interesting choice. They might not have any other play this turn. And if that's the case, so be it. They do get rid of the Miss Double Finger. We're going to give them a 2K off of the Yamato swing. And I think what we do here is we just swing 6 into lead. It's the perfect time for us to play out the 9-cost Luffy, of course, after using a Red Rock and then after protecting our life for a turn. They don't have anything else established. Really nice to see. We can go 6 into lead. I think we go 7 into lead. They're likely going to counter out of both of these. And then to prevent them from having a really efficient 10-cost Newgate, as you can see, they pitch one right there. I think what we do is we just play this Luffy and we swing into the Yamato so they don't have an 8-8 coming at our face this next turn. I guess rather like an 8-9. So I think this is our best bet. Just establish a big body before they can start putting big bodies on the field. They will more than likely have one to play this turn, and we'll just deal with it if that's the case. They don't have anything. Okay, so Marco into Yamato, not the worst play. Great use of their Dawn, and really smart heads-up play to swing into life here. I think what we will have to possibly do, they have so many cards in hand, it's going to be very difficult to break through this. Then we just go 7 into lead, see if they, actually 10 into lead first, see if they give us that block with the Marco. Usually this will result in a block. I was going to say probably result in a block, but yeah, a block it is. 3 more cards in hand. Great. Love to see it. Let's go 6 into lead here. Let's go 7 into lead as well. We could go 8. There's a couple different ways we could play this. I think we're leaving open the option for the Luffy, but I think 7 in the lead, just kind of seeing what they do here. Give us a 2K. Let's go ahead and play out the Zoro Juro. Actually, I think that's probably our better play here. Grabbing a Giant and then the Onami blocker, pitching out the Magellan. Now, we could have played a 9-cost Luffy and tapped out, but I'm really worried that they're going to play a 10-cost Blockbeard this turn and then swing 8-8. Yeah, it looks like, okay, actually, this is a little bit better for us. Means we have to block with the Onami this turn or else it gets KO'd by the Newgate ability here. But using that 8-cost event to play out the 9-cost Newgate, ripping a life, making them a 10k leader means it's going to be really difficult for us to break through here. We'll just have to focus on this Yamato. 7 into 7, we'll give them a 1k. And if they go 11 into 7, I think we just block this one pretty easily. Let's go 6 into the Yamato. I'm going to go 6. I think we go 7. We go 10. And then I think we actually have time. I think we're comfortable enough to play one more of the Rush Luffys. I think this is fine. I see they're running Vista. I really like that inclusion in the deck, especially in the mirror. Vista's pretty good. We'll go 10 into 6 here. They'll take that one, and then we'll play out the other Luffy and go 10 into 10. This is probably just an easy 1k here. Now, this next turn is going to be very difficult for us. If they decide to go face, they have to split it, and they might be able to get across the finish line. If they're putting us right now, we could also be in a lot of trouble. So it just depends on their plays, but they actually have an out here, depending on how they play it. They could also play very defensively. There's the block gate, block beard rather, putting 2 underneath ace, 2 underneath the new gate, so 8 and 12. If they go 8 at face, we just have to protect it. If they go 12 into 7, I think we just let this one go. Yeah, I think we just let that one go. I'm not going to protect that. And then 8 into 6 here. I think I will protect this one because I think having that extra swing might matter. Pitch out the other 9 cost. And then I think we just play super defensive this turn. I think we swing with everything we have on the board and hope that they don't have a pudding. If they have a pudding, we're in a lot of trouble. Let's swing 10s first. 10 is a really good number to go against ace because it means that they have to drop 3 cards immediately. And then the other 10 might be blocked. And then from there, we can swing like 8 with the Zorojuro and then put the rest on Luffy, but keeping Dawn open for the counter events we have in hand. So if we don't get puddinged, we can actually stay alive against their field, but it's entirely dependent on that. Yeah, as I imagine, they're just blocking the second 10. We'll go 8 into 6, another 2 cards out of hand here. And then I think we just go another 8, so that way we leave open 4, 2 for Hell's Judgment, and then 2 for the 2 giants in hand. They do take it. They go down to 0. This is a very scary game we're in right now. I think that their field looks better already than ours. They have a way of getting rid of our field by just swinging into it probably, but pudding is the answer here for them. If they don't have the pudding, I think we win. Actually, it's not guaranteed that we win. They could throw up another Blockbeard. I mean, it's possible. They might stall for one more turn. That'd be really unfortunate, but that might actually be what they do. It is another one. Yet another one. Okay, they're pitching out the Roger. I guess that's good for us. I don't know. I'm not sure anymore. If they're going to swing into this Zorojuro, I think we just protect it. Let's go ahead and use the Hell's Judgment on the ace and the new gate. And then they're going to swing 9 into 6. I think we just give them 2 2Ks here and keep this Zorojuro alive. If they want to swing the other new gate, they don't. But if they want to, then be my guest. Here, 10 into 6. They're going to have to counter. I mean, sure. They're in a pretty good spot, actually. Countering out of this means that they can probably safely block this next one with one of their 10 costs. And then dividing between Zorojuro and my leader is going to be... Oh, they just give us all the counter in the world. Okay. 2-2-1. They're down to 1 card in hand. I think what we do is we just swing 6. I think we just swing 6 here. And then what we'll do after that is leave 2 open for Giant. And we'll swing really big with our leader. Yeah, this will either force them... I think we just go all in here. We'll go 13 into 6. That means that block 2K. They don't have it, so they just block. Means that we have 1 less attack to have to defend against. Because this turn, they will very, 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 very likely go for game. 12 into 5 means, yes, they're trying to go for game here. Let's go ahead and just do a Giant off the bat. We'll go ahead and pitch the 1 dead card we have in hand. We draw into 2 more 1Ks. And I think we actually use the other Giant. I think we just double Giant here just to stay as alive as possible. And at least we draw into 1K counters. Could be worse. I don't want to take this hit, though. Let's go ahead and just give them a 2K here. There's also a world where they put Dawn on the Garp because they have all of it. And if they do have Dawn on the Garp, I think we don't survive a 12K swing or even a Roger for 13. So let's go ahead and just counter out of this one and stay relatively safe. The only other play they would have would be to play it like a Yamato and divide between the Yamato and the Garp. So let's go ahead and just pitch everything in hand. And here comes the Roger. So yeah, good thing we protected because we wouldn't have been able to survive a 13K swing, and they didn't have enough to survive either way. And the last card in hand was also a dead card for us. So yeah, if they had a pudding, we would have definitely been screwed, but sometimes Ace just doesn't have it. Alrighty, we had a couple of close games there. I think the Emu matches were a good representation of how those matches should go, even if you do see Magellan or if you don't see Magellan, so I think that's important overall. Now, if I were to make some changes to this deck list, I think I would consider probably taking out some of the 9-cost Luffys. Now, while these are really powerful and the whole reason why I think that you can win a lot of your matchups, I do want some more stability with like an 8-cost Katakuri or maybe like a 9-cost Big Mom, so I would look to make those additions and make those subtractions necessary where possible. So I think the 9-cost Luffy might not necessarily be a 4-of. Outside of that, I'm pretty happy with the rest of the deck though. I do like this 8-cost Rayleigh. I think it's pretty powerful. Maybe you want to cut down on that by 1 or 2, but I do really like hitting this. But I do really like having this hit the field pretty early. Once it hits the field, it's usually a 9k swing for the rest of the game, which is great investment overall. The rest of the deck, though, pretty happy with it. We have a lot of counter. We have 12 2ks in total, enough Gum Gum Giants to survive, a couple of 0-cost events to pitch some dead cards out of hand, because as you can see, we have about 12. Is it 12? No, we have 16. I can't count. Well, I'm not counting these overall for dead cards. I'm counting like these bodies as dead cards. So we have 8, 16 right here. So yeah, we do have quite a fair amount of dead cards overall. So 0-cost event could be up to maybe 1 or 2 more. I don't know if a playset of these would make sense, but maybe 3 would be helpful, especially if you're running 16 bricks in total. But with that all in mind, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Purple Luffy. How does it hold up in this meta? What spicy additions do you have in your deck that maybe I didn't include? Let me know as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.